Dennis Andries was known as The Rock, for good reason. By 1986, he was British light heavyweight champion, and his career was moving into overdrive. In Indianapolis, as J.B. Williamson stepped into the frame, and he agreed to put his WBC light heavyweight world title on the line. It's now or never. Up next, Frank Warren presents. April 1986, and J.B. Williamson had won the WBC light heavyweight title. 5 months earlier, he had lost just once previously and had had the more meaningful fights than the up-and-coming Andries. Andries had a patchy record of 26 wins with 6 losses and 2 draws, but he was undefeated for over 4 years, and his boxing career was well and truly back on track. It was a pick-em fight.
So there it is then, a first defence for J.B. Williamson. Just bad, he calls that, but actually it means James Bennett, but they forgot to put it on his birth certificate. And Dennis Andries, born in Guyana, but lives in Hackney in London, raised here, which is really just a left hook from Pickett's Lock in Edmonton, where this fight's taking place. So he's done a lot of good talking, Williamson. He is a good stand-up boxer who appears to take a good punch. Only one loss, and that was when he had to boil down as a middleweight to fight the world ranked at the time Alex Ramos. Won the championship against Prince Mohammed on points in 12 rounds in Los Angeles last December. And Mohammed boxed in Scotland for a while. So let's see now if it's all about that American corn we've had all week, about the Matador and the Bull. And certainly Williamson's had no complaints about his stay here. He stayed out in Hemel Hempstead, close to the sponsors there, Croxley Papers, who looked after him and arranged all his training. He's quite happy with that. Well, I've only seen Williamson once, and I've seen him work in the gymnasium, and he had his hands up a bit higher at that point. I don't know whether if Andries can land one, that might make him change his mind. Certainly, he's a fearless fighter, Dennis Andries. Doesn't worry about opposition at all, doesn't fret, good temperament. And as in horse racing, a bit of a late developer in the fight game at 32. But he's on a winning roll since he's been under new management. And I tell you, any punch from Andries is going to signal some success with the crowd. They'll help him on. As world champions go, Williamson really suffered from a bit of anonymity. And you're following people like Archie Moores, Bob Fosters, Michael Spinks. You've got to really make a name for yourself in this business. He won the championship, which was vacated by Michael Spinks, who of course went to come on to win the heavyweight championship. Well, it's a lively enough start, Jim.
Yeah, a nice little punch there from Andries. I don't think it's troubled Williamson at all. Williamson doesn't exactly ooze class. He looks a little bit awkward at this stage, very shifty, but I think he'll settle down pretty quickly. I don't think these are his normal tactics. I don't know what's in his mind at the moment, but he certainly looks awkward anyway.
It looks as though he wants to try and out-slug Andries, and that's not his game at all. So what was we listening to all that stuff about Matadors and Bull? We haven't seen that yet. And the Bull's doing all right by my card. So the countdown for the end of the first, scheduled for 12 rounds. Oh, low punch there. But no use Andries complaining about that. He's got to get on with it in a world championship, grit the teeth. But it was a low blow. Of course, they're wearing obligatory cups. And the Italian referee going over now to Andries. So there's Williamson now. He did throw a low punch right at the end of the round. Actually, he's going over to get the scorecards from the judges as well, who of course will decide if it does go 12. The referee doesn't score. Well, he wasn't too pleased with that. There's a rundown on Dennis Andries. And he's got into world number 8 now, quite rightly. Got a draw for the European Championship, which the majority of people thought he was a bit robbed against Alex Blanchard. second round, and a very scrappy start to that, really, because we expected Williamson to stand up and box better than this. But this will play right into Andries' hands, or fist in his case. Well, if Williamson's showing contempt for Andries, that could be a loser. So it's all going to be a bit of all gung-ho for the ex-Marine sergeant here, I suspect. Could this happen in the second round? I tell you, the Americans say they didn't think Andries, I'm talking about the critics in America, didn't think Andries could beat Williamson, although he'd won 3 fights in America. Andries went out there very much as a loner and did very well too. I'm surprised, Jim, that champion's taking punches like this.
Yeah, well, those punches certainly had an effect on Williamson. They certainly shook him up a bit. I'm surprised at Williamson's carelessness, and he looks very disjointed. He doesn't have any fluent movements at all. Andries is really in with a great chance here because so far, I know it's the early days yet, but Williamson hasn't shown anything special at all.
I got a feeling he might have started to believe his own write-ups, JB Williamson. That's always a problem if you do that. Well, if it's going to be a wrestling match, I want to be on Andries. Still very much the old hungry fighter, the sort that wins world championships. He never pretended to be a classy fighter. But at the end of the day, he gets the business done. He certainly has done in recent years. He's only been stopped once by David Pearce, and that was as a heavyweight. Williamson came in at 172 pounds, 12-4. That's a pound lighter than the challenger. The judges from New York, Belgium, and England's Harry Gibbs. Well, this is not a bad start. He's not normally the quickest of starters, Dennis Andries, but it's... Oh, it's a good right-hander there. And didn't Williamson know it? He's fighting a sloppy one, Jim.
Yeah, he looks very disjointed. He doesn't seem to... I don't know what's wrong with him. He doesn't seem to have his mind in the job. I think he's too busy thinking about showboating. But if this is the best he can do, then Andries is in with a great chance.
So the countdown for the end of the second, and a good round for Andries. A little bit of after timing there, and the Italian referee making sure no liberties taken. So there's the rundown of the people in Andries' corner there. That's trainer Don Davis, an ex-middleweight in the ring, and on the outside it's Greg Steen, the young manager, who so far has kept Andries unbeaten since he signed him up. Let's have a look at this overhead camera in replay, Jim. This is where he's really steaming in there with that right hand, and as you say, he's not tucking himself up very well there, Williamson. That's sloppy stuff for a world champion. He really is. But credit Williamson, credit to Andries, I mean. Let's have a look at another angle there. Well, that was the right hand. He almost pitched forward with that, and he takes a good shot, but he'll have to if he keeps this up. Into the third round then, and the British champion Dennis Andries from Hackney doing quite nicely, thank you. So Williamson really hasn't lived up to the reputation that he gave us. He's only taken one count in his career, by the way. A fellow called Dale Grant had him on the deck. How did you give those first 2 rounds, Jim?
Well, I reckon Andries certainly won the second round with the better work, more clean punches. And Andries seems to be physically stronger than Williamson. So if he could just push him back and let some punches go, I think, as I said earlier, he's in with a great chance. That was more of a slap from Williamson then. No trouble at all. But Andries has to use his strength force Williamson back, tried to bull him a bit. Williamson looks a bit more business-like in this round. He seems to have stopped the showboating. He's tightened up a little bit. Maybe we'll see the real Williamson now.
Well, we haven't had a world champion at this weight since John Conte, who's giving advice there in Andries' corner since he won it in '74. And the last one when he fought Len Hutchins in Liverpool in this country. But certainly Williamson, I have to say, I would have certainly backed John Conte against him. And it looks as though I might even be backing Andries against him if this keeps up. But we'll see, long way to go. Watching Andries working out in the old Thomas à Becket gymnasium pub in London, he tended to pose a bit, but perhaps he had to do that with sparring partners, and John Conte was blowing in his ear that in a championship fight he's got to grit the teeth and let a lot of punches go. Catch the judges' eyes and also the champions if he can. Minute to go then in the third. So it's all sign language from the Italian referee Poletti. Well, he could do with wearing the cape that he came into the ring with now, Williamson, to try and slip this ball coming at him a bit, but he's livened up the champion this round, Jim, I think.
Yeah, he's tightened up a little bit, a lot more business-like, but I still wouldn't say he's shown us anything startling. But at least he has the job in mind now. He's stopped the showboating. He's pinning some nice jabs, some nice right hands across at Andries. There goes another one. But still, as I say, nothing special. No way is Andries out of his depth here.
So Andries not exactly pleased with those little taps after the bell. So here's Jim Rosenthal then talking to the ex-world champion, John Conte.
John Conte, a very good start indeed this by Andries.
Yes, it's very good. He's not holding back. He's moving right into the fight. He caught him with some good shots there in the early round. I gave him that round. That's two. I make him 2 rounds and one with 1 drawn. I make it 2 rounds to Dennis Andries and 1 drawn. But he must give himself a bit more room. He's moving in too close and allowing the guy to come up with right uppercuts. And these are killing punches for him, like, you know. And he must give himself a little bit more room to be able to throw these heavy shots.
He might be surprising a few people, Andries, by the way he's going here. Is he surprising you?
He's not surprising me. The man is fit, strong. He's very positive. He's believes in himself, and he's going to throw everything into this fight. You know, this is the way he's came into the ring, and it's working for him up to now.
Into round 4, and the wisdom there of John Conte is he would say in his lingo, he's got to do some work in there. Keep throwing the punches. It's a good start by Andries. No, oops, a little bit of a head work I would have thought going in there, but the referee didn't seem to care. Anyway, it gets to the rough stuff. You can rely on Andries. I don't know about Williamson. I don't want to see a world championship get as untidy as this, though, and certainly a lot of it is down to the champion. Having seen him fight Chris Schwenke, the Samoan, for the Continent of America's championship, I'm surprised that he's doing it this way, but I imagine he's been drawn into it a bit by Andries, and, you know, when they win the championship, they start to change tactics a bit and fancy their luck. That's a bit dangerous in this game. It's untidy, Jim.
Yeah, it is untidy. But I think I would suggest Andries stays close and just try to use his power. If Andries stands off, then I think Williamson's better equipped at long range than Andries is. But what he's doing here, just a few more punches, not quite so scrappy. And to see if he can wear Williamson down a bit. I think it's possible Williamson didn't take Andries very seriously. I think that was the reason for the sloppy first couple of rounds. But it's certainly, as John Conte said, it's given Andries a good start to the fight and got him in with a great chance.
Well, he's a long-distance fighter, Williamson. 4 of his last 5 have gone 12 rounds. Well, he certainly doesn't have the nimble footwork of a Matador Williamson anyway. His legs are not that good, actually, for a champion. Andrews should be trying to pummel away inside there, but he's being tied up cleverly a bit there by the champion. So inside the half minute for this round. I think the referee might do them a favour if he orders break a bit more. So there's the rundown on Williamson's cornermen, and I have to say this fellow, when he was with the MAPS, the Muhammad Ali school of boxing, as it were, with the then Harold Smith, who hadn't actually been in the fight game before then, and then it was found out that he'd been embezzling the money from Wells Fargo, so this fellow was left out on his own a while. But Mickey Duff was telling me he actually tried to sign him up, so he must have seen some form in him. So they're just saying he's thumbing our man. He's making that a bit obvious to the Italian referee.